众生请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed.
Namo Sadanto Suchedoye Olahudi Sanmiao Sanputoshe. Wu Shang Shen Shen Wei Miao Fa Bai Qian Wan Jie Nan Sao Yu Wo Jin Jian Wen De Shou Chi Yuan Jie Ru Lai Zhen Shi Yi. English together, supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位师兄，大家阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our sutra lecture today. This is Sunday, February 9th, where I am, here in Queensland, Australia. It's Saturday, February 8th, where you are in Berkeley, California, or wherever you're listening to this webcast around the world. So, interesting, we now have we have a tripod, we have a ding, the Chinese ritual vessel, three-legged centered on three legs, if you can imagine. It's actually quite stable. You have a tripod. One of them is here in the Gold Coast of Queensland, where I'm actually living and breathing and speaking to you all. Another is Berkeley, California, which is where I'm watching everybody in the Buddha Hall there, watching me on a screen and hearing this, my voice come to you thanks to the miracle of modern technology. But it's that third leg, which is so interesting, which is the online presence. There are more people listening online, There are more people listening online than there are either present here in Australia or in California. So we have three legs, and then we have 3.5. There's a ghost presence, which is what people who are going to watch the lecture archived on the internet, on YouTube. So how magic is that? We've got people who are going to be taking part in our sutra lecture after the fact, and catching up on their weekly banquet, their weekly nutrition, their weekly feeding of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Flower Garland Sutra, which when you get a flavor for it, there's nothing quite like it. There's no other flavor to match the limitless Dharma realm. So let's do that. Let's jump in. And the way that we invoke, let me start over here. I was contemplating I don't know, I couldn't exactly say, I think that's Paul who did the Dharma request today. But Paul and someone, were there two of them? but the harmony was really great when you're doing the Dharma request, by the way. As you were doing that, I was thinking, how could I bring all of us together into a state of listening so that we had the experience of actually watching and listening and feeling today's events in the sutra. And I was thinking, gee, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could throw some pixie dust or radiate a light or chant a tone, Om, or play a chord on my mandolin, or whatever method. The Buddha, he what do you say? He gives the bodhisattvas 他的威神之力, 威神力量, his incredible spiritual blessing. That's what he does. And altogether, whatever method we used, if we could, as a group, suddenly experience the flower garland assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, how wonderful that would be. All I have is my voice, and actually that's not true. What we do have was something that I saw Master Shren Hua, I saw Shifu do night after night after night, which was, if you weren't paying attention, you might not even notice. If you were false thinking, which was my case most often, it was happening. I really didn't notice. I was just worried about tomorrow's lunch, or how cold I was, or an exam that I was preparing for, something like that. But if you were tuned in and mostly open-hearted, if your heart was open to the experience, there was definitely the feeling that the Buddha Hall, where Shifu was lecturing on that sutra, traveled somewhere and found themselves in the presence of the Huayan Haihui Fopusa. It was that way. Sounds magical, sounds fuzzy, airy-fairy, very airy-fairy. This is mucho airy-fairy, and absolutely real. Somehow, Shifu's Wei Shen Li Liang, right? Shifu's incredible spirit and the Dharma, that's key. It's not just one power guy. It's the actual Dharma working that way. So when you Ru Fa Xu Zuo, when you do it according to Dharma and request and say, now that we've come to hear it and see it and accept it reverently, may we truly understand the Buddha's meaning. Wouldn't that be great if today we could? Because wait, this is all a prelude to what's about to happen. There's something really incredible going on in today's sutra, and I want everybody to get it, to experience it, because this is a case of 不可思议, incredible, not ordinary by any means. All right. Now, with that as the prelude, is everybody ready to do some chanting here? And we can make our own invocation. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Da Fang Guang Fu Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Hui Bo Pu Sa Da Fang Guang Fu Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Hui Bo Pu 2 more times. Thank you for that, Mr. Mandolin. Let's go now to our page. We are on page 11. Page 11. Actually, let's go to the bottom of page 10 first, the bottom of page 10, which we read last week. And before we look at the words, I'm going to show my desktop. Here is a picture of a lotus, and that one's slightly crooked. Let me show you another picture of a lotus, which will give us a sense of what we're about to hear described. And we're hearing it in words that were first spoken 2,500 years ago. You ready? Here it is. There's a perfect lotus. That lotus flower actually, it's done, it's gone, it's done for, it's gone. But it grew right here, Gold Coast Dharma realm. And we'll let that picture be the image in your mind as you hear what's about to happen. Now as you look at that lotus flower, let me give you the background. We are in a sutra called the Flower Garland. It talks about bodhisattvas, and we're in a chapter called the 10 Stages chapter, and we're at stage 10. We're at the end. This is instructions for a bodhisattva, an awakened being, a selfless human, who is training. This bodhisattva is learning how to be a bodhisattva on his way. It's a gradual progression. It's a gradual progression of graded skills. And this bodhisattva is on his way to Buddhahood. That's the ultimate point, but he's not there yet. He's almost there, or she is almost there. Gender is not important. The bodhisattva is learning how to do it, learning how to think, talk, act the way bodhisattvas think, talk, and act. And this chapter, we're in number 10 out of 10, and the bodhisattva is just begun the 10th stage. We're listening to the voice now of a narrator. It's interesting. There's, first of all, the chapter opened, and we read it just a month ago, with a scene from the heavens, the Devas realm, right? Tianren, Fa Jie. And in the
Rama Heng Sure, if you can hear us, or we just lost your audio. Hey, Locke, is it our side? So he has to. Dharma Master, if you can hear us, I think you're kind of stuck. Okay, we hear you now. We lost you for about a minute. We lost your audio and video again.
There we go. That should be fine.
Are you still frozen, Dharma Master? I think your new Wi-Fi thing isn't working out.
So I think we're suffering from some technical difficulties. We could look at page before. Oh, Dharma is calling me back. So if we want to, Dharma is going to have to reboot and get online again. So if we want to look at the sutra, I think he wants to talk about the lotus, which we discussed, and I think that's on the top of page 13. Isn't that right? Yeah, from the bottom of 11 to page 13. So how about we start from the paragraph on page 10, the Chinese, 菩萨于此. So the last paragraph on page 10. Then we can read the English just to get things started. This is after the Bodhisattva talks about, or we talk about the samadhis of the Bodhisattva. Okay, so maybe pull in our palms together. We can all recite together. So, 菩萨于此一切三昧，若如肉其，皆得善巧，以善了知一切三昧所作差别，其最后三昧名受一切至圣之位。此三昧现在前时，有大宝莲花忽然出生，其花广大2等130,000大千世界，以种妙宝见。So, oh, is he back? Oh, Dharma Master, no. So page 12, turn the page over. 见错庄严。超过一切世间境界，处施善根之所生起，指诸法如幻性，纵横所成，横放光明，普照法界，非诸天出之所能有。毗卢勒摩尼宝位经，赞叹王位台。玛瑙为须，阎浮檀金位也。其花常有无量光明，总报位藏，宝王弥覆，13,000大千界，为成树莲花，一味眷属。Okay, if we go back to page 11, it says the Bodhisattva. That's where we start. The Bodhisattva achieves real skill with all those samadhis, whether he enters them or leaves them. He also knows all the differences among the workings of those samadhis. His final samadhi is called reaching qualification to the sublime rank of omniscience. Just then, as this samadhi appears, a large and fine lotus suddenly emerges. That flower is vast, as large as hundreds of thousands of threefold large thousand-world systems. It is decorated with multitudes of wondrous jewels. Oh, I hear Dharma Master. Hello, Amitofo.
Hi there, Omidoko. I really appreciate hearing you read the Avatamsaka. How is that? Are we good?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you now.
Okay, great. Okay. What happened was our modem ran out of money. Just thank you, Telstra. Okay. All right. So you have read the text, is that correct, Sinfashu?
We have maybe 5 more sentences.
5 more sentences. Why don't you continue?
Okay, we can finish this section. So, it is decorated with multitudes of wondrous jewels. Its state surpasses any worldly state. It springs from world-transcending good roots. It is accomplished through a multitude of practices based on knowing what is the nature of dharmas is like an illusion. It constantly emits bright light that universally illumines the Dharma realm. It could not exist anywhere in the heavens. Vaidurya and Mani gems make up its stem. Regal Chandana forms its base. Its tendrils are amber and its leaves are Jambunanda gold. Its blossom shines always with limitlessly many lights. Clusters of gems form its calyx, and a net of jewels covers it. Lotus blossoms, many as the fine motes of dust, in 10 threefold large thousand world systems, comprise its following.
Okay, thank you for that. What an anticlimax to build up, getting everybody ready to hear this wonderful passage, and then my modem runs out of cache and kicks me off the internet. Luckily, Sam and Cliff and Kevin had another modem which I could switch to. So, all right, now that you've heard the build up to this passage, and now that Jane Concher has read us the actual text, let's begin with it. What has happened? We're in the narrative part. Like I said, just as I left you, I was telling you who's talking, and who's talking means Qinggang Tang Wusa, a treasure house, a storehouse of Vajra, this magical substance. That's his name. He's been the teacher for the whole 10-page chapter. And it's interesting because he's not the Buddha. He's who? He is the Buddha's disciple whom the Buddha has requested to speak this part of the sutra. He's the deputy. And that's how the Avatamsaka goes. It's not necessarily the Buddha's words. It's the Buddha's spirit directing another spokesperson. And this happens 9 times. In fact, there's one time that the Buddha speaks in the Avatamsaka. So, interesting, huh? All right. Vajra Treasury is now responding. First, we heard the deities, the goddesses, giving their praises. Next, we heard another bodhisattva. His name is Xiefo Yue Wusa, Moon of Liberation, liberated moon. He says, please continue. We all want to hear it. Please continue. This Avatamsaka stuff is great. Continue. And then there's another voice, and it's a narrator. And the narrator is telling us today what happened. This is not Vajra treasury. This is another voice who is telling us what happened. Just before this thing happened, we've been talking about samadhi and states of meditation and focus that they have names. They're specially named. And they bring with them all these special qualities. Things happen when they meditate. They are real, serious meditators. And when they meditate, these samadhis arise. The samadhis arise, the lotus flower, boom, comes into being. We just looked at a couple of lotuses. Now, what did we hear? Jin Chuan just read it. Just then, as the samadhi appears, a large confined lotus, poof, big. It's really big. It's decorated with jewels. And the state of this lotus is like no flower you've ever seen. You've never seen this lotus
Uh,
so nothing comparable.
Dharma Master?
Yeah.
Dharma Master, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we lost your audio for about 5 seconds just now.
Really?
Just the last maybe sentence.
Okay. Why did it go away? Did it sound like just a glitch?
Yeah, it was how you say it, like underwater kind of sound.
Okay. Let me know if that happens again, so because I don't want people to lose. And it's very funny because I built you up. I want to take you to the Avatamsaka realm like Sri Prabhupada. Sorry, Charlie. This is the realm of real Dharma masters. Okay, what's going on up at a lotus? Imagine a lotus appearing in front of you. I just gave you a picture of a lotus. Let's take a look at another lotus. Can you all see this lotus? Look at that one. Different color, different lotus, right? This one is essentially white, not essentially pink, but it's tipped with pink. And it's got all these incredible ruffles, like pedicle, around amazing. I did a little research into lotuses, and in the Avatamsaka, we hear, and also in the Lotus Sutra, mind you, right? There's also the sutra that the lotus becomes the name of the entire sutra. We hear about, first of all, lotuses are known as Nymphaea Nelumbo. That is the Greek name. Nymphaea Nelumbo. That's the name of the Greek name, the botanical classification of lotus flower. And we hear about what? We hear about usually about 4 kinds of lotuses. We hear about red ones, blue ones, white ones, and then another one that is either white or red. The red is called Padma, right? Gotomo Padma. Padma is a red lotus. We just saw one a minute ago. There's an Uttala, Yoto Goro. Wow. That's a blue lotus. There is a Pundarika, Puntori, which is what? Sadharma Pundarika. It's called the Miaofa Lianhua Jing. That's the Pundarika is a white lotus, and that's the one in the name of the Lotus Sutra. Then there's one called a Kumuda, Kusum Kumudo, I believe. And it means to excite joy, to bring on joy. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's red. So lotuses come in all these different colors. Lotuses. They come in different qualities too. So if we have a lotus that looks like this, is that a Pundarika? Maybe. But this one has got pink and purple edges of the blossom. Pretty amazing. So lotuses, generically, in terms of their taxonomy in Greek, is let me try again, called the Nymphaea Nelumbo flower. And they come in 4 kinds. And interestingly, the number 1 symbol why it turns out that lotuses are revered not only by Buddhists, but also by Hindus, also by Sikhs, also by who else? Jains love lotuses and celebrate lotuses as symbols of purity. Turns out that the Egyptians also considered lotuses to be a sacred flower. And the thing about lotuses for Egyptians was they bring you back into life purifying, right? Once you come back from a lotus, you're pure. Sounds a whole lot like sounds a lot like Pure Land practice, the Amitabha Sutra's description, or the 3 Amitabha Sutras description of the lotus that we are reborn into in Sukhabati, in the land of utmost happiness. So here you have lotus flowers across the Middle East, across Africa, through Asia, now around the world and to the West, including Australia. In Hindu, in the ancient stories, the myths in the best sense of myth, not false story, mythical. No, it means the founding stories of Hinduism. Sages, wise beings, sit upon lotuses and they emerge in lotuses, just like our bodhisattva here. So this imagery is shared from Hinduism through Buddhism all the way through India and the Middle East and North Africa. There is spiritual cleansing going on. Furthermore, the most amazing thing about the lotus that probably moves everybody is at night the blossoms pull back and sometimes even descend into the mud at their roots. And then with the sun's rising, that blossom opens up and the lotus blossom is entirely pure. Turns out the leaves have a certain kind of waxy quality that rejects any kind of impurity or pollution on the leaves. So people were always amazed that the lotus doesn't forget where it came from. As they say, what's the bumper sticker? No mud, no lotus. So you have to keep your connection with the dark side to emerge into the purity and the light of the lotus blossom. Day after day, they can do this. So that's what people love about the lotus, is the bodhisattva doesn't leave living beings. At the same time, you don't move his mind, her mind from bodhi. They're totally focused on compassion and wisdom. At the same time, they're related and rooted with every living being. So we love lotuses, just like that one there. Got another one. That's a, here's the, let's see here. Here is what? This is our Padma. Here's a Padma lotus. Boto Mohua, right? The Padma. That's a very popular name for Indian children, Indian girls. Padma, the red lotus. So there we are. Okay. Now, the sutra goes on to tell us what? It says, where did it come from? It comes from the Bodhisattva's world transcending good roots. What is a world transcending good root? It's a quality of your humanity that is wholesome. Wholesome to the point that it manages to be perfect. What would that be? Try generosity. Your generosity, your willingness to give whatever is needed to whoever needs it without exception, comes to perfection, and it's called dana paramita, right? It's called 布施波罗蜜. It's tan na 波罗蜜, dao bi an. It's goodness that actually goes beyond ego. You take a loss in order to give what is needed to whoever needs it. That's world transcending good roots. Another one would be patience. Good roots, wholesome qualities. You are patient. You don't get angry. Another one would be what? Vigor, strength. You don't retreat from your original goal, even if it takes you many steps and a long time to get there. You don't go back. I recall Master Xuanzhuang, one of the heroes of our Mahayana Buddhist world, Xuanzhuang Dashi, the Tang Dynasty monk, who later had a novel written about him, Monkey, Journey to the West, Monkey King. That's about our monk, our hero. He's one of the few Buddhist monks who had a novel, an adventure story written about him. He made a vow that he was going to bring the Buddha's wisdom back to China, and many, many, many things got in his way, including the law of the country. It was the beginning years of the Tang Dynasty, the very first. And he, because the borders were not secure, the new emperor, Tang Xuanzong, right? Tang Gaozong, Tang Xuanzong, Tang Taizong. Fact checked right here. Tang Taizong, he said, nobody leaves. Well, Master Xuanzong had to go. So he went out and was nearly killed by the archers at the towers of the borders. And he traveled across the desert. He traveled across the mountains. He traveled across the glaciers. Traveled across the raging rivers. Found his way to India. Enrolled at Nalanda University. Learned Sanskrit. Got all the sutras that and images that he could pack onto the back of a horse, and included a bunch of elephants that were given to him by the kings along the way. And crossing a river, one of the elephants lost his footing and drowned. They lost some sutras. Horrible accident. But he made it back. And what did he do? As soon as he got back, he turned himself in to the emperor. That I broke the law. Punish me. I'm here. I'm willing to take it. But meanwhile, here are the sutras. Long as I can keep translating in jail, I'm happy. So, of course, the emperor said, you're pardoned. It's okay. You were behaving selflessly. And so what did he do? He was vigorous. He said, I would rather die with my face towards the west, meaning India, than live with my face towards the east, meaning quitting on his vow. So rather die than quit, right? That's vigor. That's Jingjin, Bolomi. That's Virya Paramita, Biliye, right? Jingjin, Bolomi. Sometimes translated as Li, right? Real strength. Okay, so whatever world transcending good roots it takes, that's what creates the lotus flower. Furthermore, check this out. Where does a lotus flower come from? A multitude of practices, many, many kinds of Buddhist practice based on knowing that the nature of dharmas is like an illusion. Let's stack up those ideas to see what's being said. A lot of practices created the lotus. They came from practices that the practitioner, the cultivator, did them without attaching to them, without trying to get anything else out of the practices. Because why? The practitioner knew he didn't really exist, she didn't really exist, but she did it anyway. And she knew ultimately from the Buddha's eyes, those living beings who were the motive saving them, that was the motive of the practice, don't exist either. That's deep, right? Now, do we have anything in our world that could possibly relate? Oh yeah. How many of us at home, never mind the monks, how many of us at home have a flat panel TV display? Well, as a matter of fact, the monastery does, so the monks are included. Okay, you have a flat panel TV, and it's just this thick, right? And it's very heavy, it's wide, 35 inches, however big yours is. And when you plug in your USB drive that has the video on it, when you plug in a DVD drive, when you plug in your modem so that you get the signal, the picture appears on the screen. And we're here watching that video, that drama. Let's say, oh my goodness, let's say it's the Super Bowl. And let's say you are a 49ers fan. Oh boy, here they are, and they're going at it with their opponents from Kansas City. Kansas City hasn't won in 50 years, but you're a 49ers fan. So what are you going to do? And you watch the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and you look to the edge of the TV. You turn it on its edge, and guess what? Behind the TV, there's nothing. There's nothing going on. All the excitement, all the action is on the front of the TV, on that LCD or plasma display. You just quietly look around the edge of the device. There's nothing going on. It's just black plastic, high impact plastic, polymers. Go, wait a minute. Everybody on this side can't wait to see the 49ers beat the Chiefs. And on the other side of the TV, nothing's happening at all. No excitement. What's going on? Is it real? Is it illusory? Well, when we're on the front of the TV, it's really real. Go, 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 right? Never mind that disastrous fourth quarter, the Chiefs won. And the emotional baggage was with the team that hadn't won in 50 years, right? Of course. So, okay, by golly, 49ers lost, but they got a great team for next year. They've got a real foundation. So how strange that while we're in front of the TV, we're totally immersed in cheering for our team. When you just turn the whole thing to the side, where did it all go? Well, you say, dummy, where have you been? This is a television. Obviously, you're supposed to participate in the illusion. You're supposed to know that it's not real. It's just a screen receiving a signal. It's the magic of technology. Okay, well, yeah, but that requires us to all participate in the illusion. So sounds just like the sutra, doesn't it? The nature of dharmas is like an illusion. Okay, the nature of televised entertainment is like an illusion. What's the difference? None. Actually, technology gives us a whole bunch of brand new analogies that work, right? Ways to understand what the sutra is telling us. Our bodhisattva is aware that everything is just like that picture on the screen. Turn it slightly to the side, the conditions go away, which is your eyes have to see the screen. That's the condition. It's gone. It's an illusion. Can you still enjoy the entertainment knowing it's an illusion? Of course, because we participate willingly in the illusion in order to get the benefit of the entertainment. Okay, got it? Did I beat that one to death? Did you all? You got it 10 minutes ago, and I like the joke tellers convention. You all know that's one of my few jokes. I don't have many jokes. This is a really good joke, and you all have to laugh even if it's not funny. Okay. So there's the joke tellers convention, and these are humorists, right? They're comics, and there's only a certain number of jokes, and they all know the same jokes, so they give them a number. Right? Why did the chicken cross the road? It's joke number one. And, and so they all know these numbers. And so a newcomer who doesn't know the system shows up and walks into the banquet room, and the guy on the stage, the comedian on the stage, is going, 14. And everybody in the room goes, ha, 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 ha. Oh, that's just great. What a wonderful job. Ha, ha. And then the guy on the stage goes, 17. And everyone goes, ha, 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 that's hilarious. That's really funny. And then the new 5. Nobody laughs. So the new guy says, hey, I don't get it. He said 13 and 14 and 7. Everybody laughed, but he said 35 and nobody laughed. Why not? Guy says, that new guy, he just can't tell a joke. That's why. Ready? You're not laughing. Okay. Well, ha, ha, ha. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know. I just can't tell a joke either. That's one of my few jokes. You all can borrow it. You don't have to pay me. That's all right. So, what does the lotus flower do? It constantly emits bright light that universally illumines the Dharma room. Okay, our lotus is shedding light. Now, inconceivable? Right, that's the Avatamsaka state. Flowers shed light. Lotuses and lilies, we have some great water lilies here too, that you would think that the flower is shedding light. It's just, you don't plug it in, it's just a natural flower, but it looks from the photograph as if there's illumination coming out of the heart of the flower. Okay, there's a final comment about this flower. What is it? It couldn't exist anywhere in the heavens. The devas can't do it because they don't have world transcending good roots like a bodhisattva. They don't have the multitude of practices based on knowing that the nature of dharmas is like an LCD panel, and they don't have the virtue of the bodhisattva that brings this lotus into being. Okay, next. What the sutra takes us into the makeup of the lotus. It really goes into flowers, right? Vaidurya and mani gems make up its stem. Its stem is made of gems. Check the stem here. That stem is made of hydrocarbons. Okay, I don't see any mani gems. What else? Its base, the base of the flower, regal chandana, which is sandalwood that only kings can use. And absolutely, in India and in China, there were certain materials that were reserved for royalty only. What about, let's say, Daimler cars? You all know about Daimler automobiles? Daimler. They're a special brand that are supposed to be more rare than Bentleys, more rare than the finest of Rolls Royces. It's not that only kings and queens can buy Daimlers, but not many people can afford them. There was a time in Hong Kong, the Master Hua's monastery in Hong Kong City, Hong Kong Island, is right down at a place called Paomadi, the racetrack. We overlook the clubhouse turn of the racetrack, and we're on the 11th floor. So you go out onto the balcony, and you can watch the horses race. Not that monks would do that, you understand, but you can if you would. And furthermore, during the day, the races the weekends are on the daytime. At night, during the weekday, they're at night. So we go out during the day after lunch to get the air, walk around. And one of the things that was fun is to watch the cars come around the corner on the street of Wangnei Chonglu, right? And to count the number of limousines. And the standard car for the average Hong Kong worker seems to be a Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes is Hong Kong's Ford, right? There are Fords, but if you're anybody, you drive a Mercedes in Hong Kong. If you're somebody special, you drive a Rolls Royce. If you're somebody really special, you drive a Bentley. And if you drive a Daimler, there are supposed to be 4 of them in Hong Kong back when we were watching. Occasionally the Daimler would drive by. There it is, you know. So that's a super regal vehicle. And the queen has one in her stable. So in India, only the king was able to keep certain kinds, and this is regal chandana that forms the base of this flower. In China, oh boy, there's a wonderful story, not so wonderful, there's a tragic story about a cultivator who was, what's the name, Wuda Fasher, who was a skillful meditator, and he had a patron, and the patron was a rich person, a rich man or woman, who wanted to reward Wu Dafashi, and he gave him a chair, a special chair made of aloes incense, aloes wood. And apparently only, who was it? How does the story go? I think only the emperor was allowed to use a chair made of aloes wood, sandalwood, aloes wood. So Master Buddha accepted the chair and sat in it and got punished for his transgression, which was pride, it turns out. So he was sitting in a chair above his pay grade, and as a result, he got an illness. And the Sibei Sanmei Shui Chan ceremony was written based on trying to cure him of the illness that he got for his arrogance. So how interesting that in China as well, like India, certain material items were considered to be limited to certain categories of people. How about that? Lotus blossoms, I'm sorry, one more. Its tendrils are amber and its leaves are jambonata gold. Let's check out a tendril. You ready for a tendril? There's no tendrils in this picture, but there's what is that? That is the calyx right there, is that heart, that cluster in the center. There is another one. Wait. I think I have a tendril for us. Hold on here. Is this the one with the tendrils? Yes, there are tendrils right there. Those guys right there. Tendrils are amber and its leaves are jambonata gold. So those are made of amber, right? And the leaves, where are the leaves here? The leaves are jambonata gold. Here's some leaves. All right. There are leaves. Jambonata gold leaves. How about that? Okay, so we, with the help of some photographs here from lotuses captured in the wild here at Gold Coast Dharma Realm, we can kind of visualize what our Bodhisattva's lotus might have looked like. What is jambonata gold? Ben asked me early on, what is jambonata gold? There's a tree called a jambu tree, and the jambu tree, Jantanshu, is the tree that gives the name to our continent, according to Buddhist geography. Okay, so all kinds of different lore, you know the word L-O-R-E, all kinds of lore arises when we touch this 2,500-year-old book, as we should hope would happen. So, from Buddhist geography, which is evident to, they say, anyone who can open their spiritual vision, Buddhas after Buddhas all describe the same thing. If you're like me, like most of us, we can only use the eyes in our head. We don't have that vision, so we take it. This isn't one of the times you take it on faith, that the Buddha is describing a reality that is what? Parallel with ours, integrated with ours, 1 degree to the right or to the left, to the point that it's not visible to us, but the Buddha says anyone can see it. Calm your false thinking, open your vision, you'll see it. In that geography, there are 4 continents. The one in the south is called Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa, coming from the jambu tree, same tree. That tree has, is it the leaves or the trunk I'm not clear, are made of Jambunada gold, which is a purple golden quality, refined. Anybody know Qinchuan, Qinwei, Jinhesher? Is it the, how does Jambunada gold come off the tree? Does it fall like pollen? There's Jambunada gold. Is that just talking about the color, or is there actual, I think it's just the color, right? Is it the color of the leaves or the color of the trunk of the tree? I'm not sure. Anybody know? Let's grab for Punyadamo's book. Venerable. Okay, the rose apple tree is Jambu tree, and its fruits are reddish, according to Jinhesher. Yeah, I heard that it was a purple gold, or a red purple gold, but it's the finest kind of gold. And my question is, its leaves are Jambunada gold in color, or is there actually a kind of gold that like falls off the tree, something like that? Anybody got a clue? That's the minutia of the sutras that makes it come alive, right? The ecosystem of the Avatamsaka Sutra. All right. The blossoms of the tree shine always with limitlessly many lights. The lights, the blossoms make lights. Clusters of gems form its calyx, the center. A net of jewels covers the lotus. And this lotus is so amazing. It's got a ecosystem with it. It's got a community of smaller flowers that travel with it. This is one aspect. I don't know if people have appreciated this, but when you look at Buddhist art, often, and these are what? Artists' renditions. When you look at paintings of Buddhas, they're rarely, if ever, alone. They're almost always surrounded by living beings of all kinds, all kinds. I actually have one. I've got one. Let me show you. We're going to dig one out here. In fact, this is a famous one because why? This is the oldest printed text, the oldest printed image in a book. Ready? Coming up right there. You all see that? Let's make it bigger. This is the frontispiece of the Vajra Prajna Paramita Sutra, dated from the 500s. This is the 6th century. Here's the Buddha right there. This is the Vajra Sutra, but look at him. Can't see it yet? Okay. This is the Jingangjing frontispiece from the 6th century, printed, woodblock printed. Look at the Buddha. He is not a bachelor. He's not lonely. He's not sad. You know, he's surrounded by all these beings. Bodhisattvas to either side, devas flying through the sky. Here's a flying deva right there. Look at this Dharma protector, how fierce he looks. Look at this character. Right there. He's got a vajra in his hand. Don't mess with him, right? Now, let's go on down. See the bhikshus there with their shaved heads and their robes? Look, here is an animal. Look at this little lion dog person just hanging out, right? The Buddha doesn't ban animals from his Dharma assembly. He welcomes them. Here is Subhuti. Subhuti, the Dharma requester. Gong ching da da sung ting. Will the Sangha with great virtue. There he is. Look at who's with him. He's got another animal here with his tongue sticking out and his tail wagging. Is that a lion? Is it a dog? But it's right there in the Dharma assembly celebrating And look at this Dharma protector, fierce guy. Wow, he's ready to pound you if you cause trouble. Here is a local, that's probably head of the council. He might be the mayor, who's come with his followers. He's wearing his Confucian hat. And look at all these beings, bodhisattvas, arhats, devas flying through the sky, making offerings. Amazing, right? What's going on? This is the Buddha in his natural habitat, surrounded by living beings of all descriptions. Gods, dragons, the Eightfold Pantheon are all there. There are humans. That is the one of the hat there. There are disciples. There are bodhisattvas. Okay, that's what the Buddha's like. And lotuses as well. They don't come alone. They come surrounded by other lotuses. Lotus blossoms as many as fine motes of dust in 10 threefold large 1,000-world systems comprise this following. How about that? What a flower. Now that's a flower, right? Go to the Flower Garland Sutra to find out about the flower. Okay, ready? Moving forward. 尔时菩萨作此华作身相大小正相诚可无量菩萨以为眷属各作其余莲花之上调杂围绕一一各得百万三昧向大菩萨一心瞻仰. Here's the scene that I was preparing everybody for before we lost our connection here. Ready? Then the Bodhisattva sits on this lotus throne. All his hallmarks, both major and minor, match it perfectly. Limitlessly many bodhisattvas follow him. Each sits upon lotus blossoms, completely surrounding him. Each one of them attains hundreds of thousands of samadhis. They all single-mindedly gaze up at this bodhisattva. All right, so the bodhisattva and the lotus flower come together. There's something called zheng bao and yi bao. And they always talk about when the sutra focuses on the speaker, not what the speaker says, focuses on the environment around the Dharma, it talks about zheng bao, which means the rewards manifested in the body of the speaker. So the good things that she got from their cultivation. Then the yi bao is the effect of the cultivation on the environment. So that really appeals to me. It makes such sense. Cause and effect is at work here. It's we affect nature, and nature comes along. Let's see, how do we say it? The Chinese always said, 天地人. If you want to know who's responsible for the world around you, heaven, earth, and humanity all have a share in it. So the heaven and earth part are the yi bao, brought into being by the zheng bao of the humans in there. The human mind is so powerful. So many electrical transactions happen in our, where? In the mind, the xin, wherever that is, that the attitude, the state of mind of humans has a huge, huge impact on everything around it. When we're lighthearted, when we're in harmony, when we're happy and cultivating with serenity and peace of mind, they say 天下太平, right? All 四海之内, 就风调雨顺. They say that the winds are in harmony and the rains fall apace, right? And everything is at peace. The opposite is also true. When our minds are chaotic, when they're afflicted, when they're full of greed, anger, delusion, the Buddha called those poisons. And those poisons can infect the environment around us. In the family, is one person who is clear, who is confident, who is undisturbed and unmoved by the ups and the downs of everybody else's mood, to calm everything. If one person in times of troubles can keep their head, when, as they say, when all around them, all around you are losing their head, right? That's all it takes to be an anchor for everyone in the family. It's true. When that person who is calm and unruffled is the leader of a nation in times of trouble, and they can say, well, this is a difficult time for us, but we will make it through. We have risen as a people before to meet the challenges, and we will do it again. Right? When the leader can talk like that, everyone in the country goes, someone's in charge, some adult who has enough wisdom and enough strength, we will make it through. What is that? That's actually a kind of giving. That's called the giving of courage, the giving of fearlessness. And there's, what's going on right now in China is very frightening. We read the accounts of people inside Wuhan and Shanghai and the other cities where the coronavirus has arrived. And it's a difficult time. This is a scary time because there's no cure for the disease that is currently visiting China. And how calming, how good to have both the president of China and the premier of China on hand and saying, no, we'll make it through. We're going to rally. We're going to find a way, and we're going to rise again. The cities will be right back to where we were before this came. Once it passes, it may take time, but we'll make it through. And just having that calm. Actually, it's a daddy. This is the role of the dad, or a mom when dad is not there. But this ability to give courage, right? Giving of fearlessness, they call it. 畏师. This is a strong gift, needed and valuable when the time is, when we need it, right? So we don't have to be the leader of a country. We can do it when our sister, our brother, our pets, beings who are easily irritated, right? Easily agitated, when we can just calm them, refuse to be set in motion, to be stable and not unfeeling, but simply say, no, our hearts are big enough. We can contain this. We've been here before. This is not the end of the road. There is another chapter ahead. This too will pass. And then we'll have to get on with the business of living our lives with wisdom on the other side. So hang on. Maybe a rough ride, we're going to make it, right? To be able to say that when the times require it is a real gift. Doesn't take money to do that. Doesn't take titles. Doesn't take anything other than willingness to be the giver and the insight to see through the storm to the other side, right? I remember a month ago standing in our creek. We have a creek that runs through our property here in the Gold Coast, Amaru. Standing at the property looking at the creek, and it was dry. It was so dry. There hadn't been rain in that creek for so long. And everybody, all the animals and birds around were just thirsty. They were just thirsty. There wasn't enough liquid, not enough moisture. And today, after the third or fourth day of continuous storms, our creek is bursting to the banks with water rushing down. The road outside, Hardy Road, is flooded, as it always does when there's a big storm. Storms have now landed on southeastern Queensland, and pictures are shooting on the internet all over of green pastures where just a month ago it was so dry, right? Now, let's see if it continues to fill our reservoirs, because our reservoirs haven't moved much. They're still only at half capacity. But the point is what? That impermanence is reality in our world here. And if we can't stand it the way it is, people with wisdom will remember when it wasn't that way. And it will be the opposite shortly, right? So that's what wisdom can do. The Bodhisattva sits on his lotus throne, and every one of his 32 hallmarks and 80 characteristics, similar to the Buddha's, match the lotus. The lotus and the Bodhisattva come together, right? They're a pair. Zheng Bao, Yi Bao, right? Proper retribution and dependent retribution. Many, many, many bodhisattvas follow him, the big bodhisattva, just the way many, many lotuses follow the main lotus. All the bodhisattvas sit on lotus blossoms surrounding him. What a scene, right? Wouldn't you love to see that brought to you by Disney? How wonderful that would be. Or by, who are the other DreamWorks, the other major animators, right? Oh, Miyazaki, Hayao Miyazaki. If he could do a Spirited Away style video of this scene, how wonderful that would be. Hand-drawn animation. Each of them attains hundreds of thousands of samadhis, and they single-mindedly gaze up at this bodhisattva. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, once the flower has emerged, we're kind of done with the flower now, and we're going to focus now on the bodhisattva. What happens next? Oh my goodness. The narrator is still telling us what's going on, right? And it's a scene. It's just incredible Flower Garland Sutra scene as lights start to emerge from every part of the bodhisattva's body. So what do we have? We've got the bodhisattva sitting on his throne, and the soles of his feet, his kneecaps, his belly button, his ribs, his hands, his shoulders, his neck, his face, his eyebrows, crown of his head, all shoot forth light. So quite a display. The bodhisattva turns into a light show in order to let living beings know that what they are about to hear is the unsurpassed, subtle, and wonderful teaching of the Buddha. How about that? So this is the 10th stage. It's a state like no other. Indeed. Indeed. All right, here's our perfect lotus that we showed first before we boomed offline. So, okay, now we haven't started the Dharma teaching, the content of the 10th stage, but in a way, all of it, you could say, is the content of the 10th stage, because none of the other 9 stages have had a bodhisattva arrive with such splendor, such incredible fanfare, right? His virtue, his merit hasn't merited it yet, right? So, okay, we began before we fell offline. We began by saying how wonderful if we could all enter this state of receptivity, a state of samadhi, to hear the sutra the way it's spoken. And taken from another point of view, it's just a book, right? It's a book like any other book. We get it as a book. It's not a book to begin with. It's the Buddha talking. But we're holding books in our hands. I'm manipulating a computer because it's an electronic book. But right here at Gold Coast, we have printouts, which makes it a book. And it is a book, but it's not a book. It's a book plus. It's a book and more. On Saturday mornings, this is Sunday noon here in the Gold Coast. It's Saturday night in Berkeley, and whatever time it is where you're watching. On Saturday mornings, which would be Friday noon in California, I explain the Vajra Sutra. And as I every week we share a story from a collection of miracle tales generated by the people who cultivate the Vajra Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, the Vajra Prajnaparamita Sutra. It's a great collection. And the stories are amazing, incredible stories. And they've been collected for hundreds and hundreds of years by the Chinese who pay attention to such things. The Chinese are known as great historians. They write everything down. There are books that are nothing more than collections of histories. The names of the history books make a book. There's so many histories. The Chinese have written everything down. They just love one and recording history. So we know what happened 2,000 years ago. So, okay, in the Ming Dynasty, there was a monk who was the abbot of a temple. And this story came up on Saturday. That's what I'm telling you. Okay. Ming Dynasty abbot. His temple was small, not very resplendent, not very big, but they had a treasure in the temple. And what was it? It was a Vajra Sutra that had been copied out by Bai Juyi. Bai Juyi, also known as Bai Le Tian, right? He was a famous poet and turns out a calligrapher of note. Tang Dynasty. So this is the Ming Dynasty, 1500 and 1546. And the book that was the treasure of this temple had been written by Baijuyi in 900 sometime, whenever Baijuyi lived. And it had been handed down 600-year-old book in their hand. It was a treasure. Oh my goodness. And so everybody knew the sutra more than they knew the temple. So it was the duty of the abbot to protect their babao, their dharma treasure. Okay, what happened? Famine. Famine came. Not enough food. Widespread. So it's the job of the abbot. It's the duty of the abbot to make sure that everybody in her temple have food to eat. He's the one who's got to go out and figure out a way to keep everybody fed. So what does he have to do? Well, no choice. He's got to pawn the sutra to get money to buy food, which in the Chinese is often rice, mi fan. So it's horrible bargain he's got to make. He has to trade the fabulous Dharma treasure for food, or you've got the Dharma jewel, but you have people starving. That's what they call the devil's bargain, right? So some people would say, oh, let them starve, keep the treasure. Other people would say, are you kidding? People over treasures. So, okay, he decides to sell it. So he goes out and he finds somebody, a rich man, who's got a lot of rice stored up and wants the sutra. He's taking he's already gone. He hands him the sutra. He gets the rice and he's carrying it back when the rich man says, I'm embarrassed. I can't possibly hold on to this fabao. I'll give you the rice. You take it back. So good-hearted merchant, right? Who says, here, you take it back. You're the monk. That's the temple. Let it be known that I gave it back. Okay. They're on the ferry boat coming across the lake, which he had to cross in order to get to where the rice was. He's got the rice, he's got the sutra, and he's happy. Oh, his heart is happy. He didn't have to part with it. So somebody on the ferry, an unknown person, says, boy, are you the famous monk? Oh, I've heard about that. You don't happen to... Look, there's the sutra. Could we see it? Oh, dun, 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 dun. That's the dramatic music would start to swell. Dun, 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 dun. The abbot says, sure, why not? He opens the jewel cover and a crazy wind blows up off the lake and blows the cover piece, the first inscription and the first page of the sutra whoosh, off the ship, off the ferry. Describe the state of the abbot. He's beyond upset. He's mortified. He's terrified. He thinks, maybe I should just jump into the lake now, end it all, because this is the treasure, and he shouldn't have opened it up on the boat. He did it anyway. So, heartbroken, he drags himself and the rice back to the temple, takes the sutra and puts it back in its familiar case, feeds the people on food, and just repents in front of the Buddha. How could I have been so stupid? Okay. Time passes, and a new governor comes into the county where the monastery is located, and he is corrupt and unscrupulous. And he comes and he says to the abbot, I've heard you got the famous Baiju inscribed Vajra Sutra. Bring it out and show it to me. I'm going to take it. I want it. So the abbot goes, no, I don't dare. I don't want to. Bring it out under pain of death. So I'll just, we'll starve you out. So out comes the Vajra Sutra, and the corrupt official looks at it and goes, but wait, this is an incomplete text. It's missing the front. What a piece of crap. Who are you kidding? I'm out of here. Throws it down on the table and leaves. He doesn't want a incomplete sutra. He says it's worthless, right? So the abbot's like, okay. And he goes on a journey across the lake. He's got to go over to the other side, and a wind blows up. And the wind is so strong, it's just like before. And they have to take the boat into the bank because it's too dangerous to cross when the waves are that high. And so they tether the boat to the bank. They make it fast with tying up trees to the bollards and the tying up ropes to the trees. And he gets off, and somebody says, Vajra, you should go get out of the storm. So they go to a lighted house, a house with lights in the windows. It's the house of a fisherman family. And they go inside. Sorry to bother you. Could we possibly get shelter from the storm? And the fisherman goes, who are these important people? Sure, come on in. Okay, we're humble. We don't have, but come in, get dry. The abbot goes into the fisherman's home, and he sees on the wall something shedding bright light. And he's like, what is this? What is this wonderful? And he looks, and it's 3 pages from the Vajra Sutra. The 3 pages from the Vajra Sutra. And he, what is this? What is this? What? And they're perfect. They're unscarred, unscathed. They're not wet. They're not wrinkled. They're perfect. And he says, where did you come across these? And the fisherman says, oh, that? He says, yeah, what are they? I can't read. I don't know, but they're very neat. He says, I was coming back with my wife from the harbor, from the quay, and we saw this light in the field. We went over to investigate, and sure enough, these pages were shedding some sort of crazy light. We brought them home and put them on the wall. We'd never seen anything quite like it. What does it say? He says. So the abbots, they're bowing, crying and bowing. He says, this is Vajra Sutra. This is a 600-year-old treasure, the treasure of our monastery, written by Baiju Yi. And the fisherman goes, no kidding, son of a gun, that's amazing. And so the abbot says, would you please consider parting with your discovery? And the fisherman goes, I don't know, what's it worth? So the abbot says, well, it's worth your soul. He says, you come to the monastery, we will give you the 3 refuges and make you a Dharma protector for saving the 3 pages of our treasure. So the fisherman talks to his wife and says, it's a deal, we'll do it. So they take them down, they put them back onto the stack of sheets of paper handwritten by Baiju Yi, and the whole thing sheds light, and the devas celebrate. And the fisherman goes, wow, that was really something. That's great. So the abbot says, look at cause and effect. How amazing. If the 3 pages had not blown off, then that sutra would now be in the hands of the corrupt official. But because when that official came to pick it up and take it from us, it was incomplete, he didn't want it. Don't tell him it's all back. It's all renewed. So how amazing is cause and effect? And you shouldn't jump to conclusions. Sometimes disasters have silver linings inside the dark cloud. So anyway, that's the story that popped up on our page to tell for this week's Vajra Sutra lecture. And anybody who wants to tune in to our Vajra Sutra lecture, send an email to jin.chuan@drb. No, I shouldn't do that. They need to go on to berkeleymonastery.org. And if you go to berkeleymonastery.org, there are instructions about how to get on our mailing list for the Vajra Sutra lectures. Free of charge, don't cost you anything. We send you an email and you click on to Zoom and you can hear those wonderful stories first time around, not recycled, not leftover stories told twice. But when the stories are that good, you can't not tell them, right? So that's the Vajra Sutra lectures. We're more than halfway done. We won't be explaining it for too much longer, but it's just such a wonderful sutra, and it's worth listening, even just when you get to hear stories like that, right? Okay, just a book, but sometimes books release light after 2,500 years. All right, we're going to transfer the merit now, and after we're done with that, Jin Chuan or Jin He or Jin Wei or Jin Fo are going to tell you what's going on in cultivation at the Berkeley Monastery. And thanks for, by the way, Jin Chuan, thank you for picking up when we went offline briefly. Appreciate that. And maybe the editor can cut out the confusion before you post it to YouTube. Let us transfer merit, and in this way, help those folks in China who are going through a very difficult time with a frightening virus that we don't know how it will be cured. We only know that we will find a way. So let's transfer the merit. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with life, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find the giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all sorrow take their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of this time. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassion and wise. May all become compassion and wise. See you all next week. Amitofo.